some people who lived in a mountainous area. Among these mountains, there was one mountain that had a cave, and we will give names to the heroes of the story to make it clearer. The first is Faisal, the second is Jasim, the third is Ahmed, and the fourth is Fuad. Faisal says, "In this village where we lived, there was something strange that everyone knew about. One of the mountains had a cave called the Cave of Darkness. A sorcerer used to live in that cave, and he stayed there for 40 years without anyone seeing him. The people of the village only knew that someone lived there, and the news said that the sorcerer had died inside the cave. Since then, the villagers began hearing strange sounds, and many rumors spread about this cave. These rumors sparked the curiosity of the young men we mentioned earlier. Faisal, the hero of the story, said, 'Guys, what do you think about exploring this cave?' And of course, his friends loved adventures, so they agreed to go. They decided to go at night, so no one would see them. Faisal says, 'As soon as we reached the cave, we saw how old it was. We had a flashlight with us and went inside, me, Yasim, and Fuad. The place felt warm, and the walls were covered with symbols, carvings, and strange things. Everything seemed normal at first, so we kept going deeper. The cave was quiet, and Fuad started leaving marks so they could find their way back. He brought something like beads to drop along the path, just in case. Everything was fine, until they began seeing strange shadows. The first one who saw them was Ahmed. He said, 'Did you see what I saw?' Faisal said no. Fuad said, 'Maybe it's some kind of animal.' They continued walking, surprised by the amount of carvings on the walls. They were talking and laughing, but that was the last laugh inside that cave. Suddenly, the flashlights went out, and the place became pitch dark. They stayed close, each one holding the hand of the other. Fuad said, 'No one let go.' Just as he finished speaking, they heard people crying, a very soft but clear sound. It sounded like a child. Then they began hearing something walking behind them, like something was waiting for them to move so it could move too. Ahmed said, 'Guys, let's get out of here. Something bad is going to happen.' They used their phone lights and followed the beads they had dropped earlier, except the beads were missing. Yasim asked Fuad, 'Didn't you put the beads from the start?' Fuad said, 'I swear I did.' They thought they were near the exit, so they walked in that direction, but they got lost. It felt like a maze. They were trapped. The phones ran out of battery. Ahmed said, 'Guys, we're stuck in something we can't get out of easily, but let's walk through one of these paths and try.' Yasim was the last one in line. Suddenly he said, 'Who is touching my shoulder?' They told him, 'You're the last one. No one is behind you.' He started to panic. Fuad said, 'I also feel someone touching my shoulder.' They all felt it. Fear grew inside them. Faisal says, 'I personally felt someone place a hand on my shoulder.' Then they started seeing red eyes filling the darkness. When they looked at the walls, the symbols made their vision blurry, and horrific faces with one eye appeared, staring at them. Ahmed said his knees were hurting, and he couldn't continue. They heard heavy breathing, footsteps, and the crying of children. Things were falling from the ceiling. Then they smelled a horrible scent, like the smell of blood. Faisal tried to recite Quran, but his voice grew weaker. After several attempts to find a way out, they suddenly felt cold air coming from one side. They said, 'This must be the exit.' They rushed toward it, and by the mercy of God, they finally made it outside. As they were leaving, they saw bright red eyes behind them. They ran. When they got far enough from the cave, they looked back and saw a man standing at the entrance, wearing all black, with a human-like shape. When he noticed they were looking at him, he started running toward them. They fled and never saw him again. This is the end of the story. Next week, God willing, we have another story. I advise people not to go to such places. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell me your opinion in the comments. Here's a short horror story in English, crafted to be chilling but concise.